This is part 13 of our Let's Play series for Breath of the Wild, and this part will begin the heart container right here from the God statue. We'll be talking with, we'll get a long cutscene with King Rhoam, and then we'll finally get the Paraglider, which is basically what we've been trying to get for like the last few parts.
Pretty much, but it is great to get the long cutscene that we are going to get because it does finally fill in a lot of the backstory and kind of lets us know what's really going on here with this ruined Hyrule. So even though it's a cutscene that takes up a good chunk of this part and is a bit of a longer one, it's nice to finally get it.
11:30, that's a long time for us to talk, and as you all can probably tell, we do like to talk, but there's a certain point we get to, and that's why, I don't know if you all ever notice, our videos are usually around 10 minutes. Red and I find that when we hit that 10-minute point, we're pretty much done with talking for that length of time. Like, we need a little bit of a breather, so as you said, this is a little bit longer part, but it is because of the long cutscene we do get.
Well, at least with the cutscene, we're going to have a lot of things to talk about. And speaking of things to talk about, though, like right off the bat, you see we use the goddess statue to get a heart container. And Hick, this is something you and I have gone back and forth on. We could choose to either get a heart container or a stamina upgrade every time we have 4 spirit orbs. And I know you've mentioned you like getting the stamina upgrades first.
Well, I don't know if I did them first exactly. Like at the beginning of the game, I like getting the stamina upgrades. I did go hard the first couple of times. Yeah. I want to say I maybe got up to 6 hearts or so, and then I kind of started noticing that I was having a hard time climbing certain structures.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I was kind of like, okay, I would like a stamina upgrade just so I could climb higher plateaus. And so I don't know exactly what my numbers were, but basically I got around 6 hearts, and then I kind of started going the stamina route. And then, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I have enough stamina to basically get anywhere that I want to. And then that's when I went back to hearts full time. So I kind of went hearts, stamina, back to hearts.
For me, I remembered how much damage some of these early enemies did to me when I only had 3 hearts. And I went hearts, really hard at the first. I probably got up to 9 or 10. Before I went the stamina route. I could be wrong on that number as well, but it was a lot. We'll just say that.
Well, we weren't sitting there writing down what our exact number was. So
Exactly, but to me, I thought with how much damage some of these early enemies do, and then especially once we start hitting a few of the tougher ones, I thought the heart upgrades were a little more worthwhile, but hey, that's the freedom that this game really does give you, that you see you and I took 2 different approaches to our upgrades.
Now, one thing, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't think I am, and if you're kind of just playing this game early on and you don't know about this, hopefully it'll be some advice for you, but I don't believe that you can max out both the hearts and the stamina. There's just not enough shrines or spirit orbs to do it, so you kind of got to, take a little bit here, take a little bit there, but if you do upgrade your stamina too much, which I think the max might be 3 wills actually, but not positive on that. You will not be able to get all the heart containers in the game. So you kind of got to, if you're one of those people that like to get all the heart containers, you kind of got to play that a little bit and how many stamina upgrades you actually want in the game.
That's actually a good piece of advice. And to me, I feel like just thinking about but just thinking about Nintendo's system, I feel like they would have made it to where you could max out everything and then not a single more. They could have made it to where you could get the 3 stamina rings or circles, whatever you call it, and then the full, 20 heart pieces?
Actually, in this game, it is 30. There's rows of 15 hearts, and it ends up going to 30.
Oh, okay, got you. Well, it tells you you're further along than I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like it would be Nintendo's logic with 120 shrines, and you got the 4 dungeon bosses that, the 30 hearts plus the full stamina would be perfectly what you could do.
Yeah.
But I like that. It does kind of make you choose. I think I like that actually.
Well, like I said, I could be wrong. You might be able to max them out. If you can do that, I just don't know. And if you do know how, actually tell me in the comments, because I would like to increase my stamina as much as I can. But right here,
are we still talking about Zelda, or are you talking about something else there?
Yeah, we can always increase our stamina in that department too. That's what beer's for.
That's what beer's for.
Increase your well, actually, beer probably tires you out more than increases your stamina. But anyways, we kind of talked about it at the end of the last part, and this cutscene with the king is just really cool. Kind of gives us a story in the game, and I love that we actually got a king in this game. It's not something we got a lot in Zelda games. It's kind of just like Minish Cap and Wind Waker, and I don't even know if there's a king in any of the other ones.
It's very few that we get, but I like the fact that once he actually revealed himself, he did look similar to the king from Wind Waker. So if you weren't thinking about that, then that was a really cool reveal. And it kind of sucks that he's a spirit. I mean, he's basically said he's dead. So that's kind of a downer. But I like the reveal of having like the last king of Hyrule. And even he himself says it's like, it's not even Hyrule anymore because it's been destroyed by this Calamity Ganon. And I'm just excited that we're finally getting some of the story and some of the beef to what we're really doing in this game and what happened before we woke up from our Shrine of Resurrection.
Maybe it's easy for other people to figure it out, but I honestly did not see the old man being the king of Hyrule. That actually threw me for a loop right there. I thought it was just some guy that's kind of helping us at very early on in the game, like the original Legend of Zelda. I kind of thought it was just like a retro throwback, kind of just give him honor or something like that. And then when we finally meet him and he's a king, I just it kind of threw me for a loop, and I just really love that part. And just getting the story from him, I just really like getting it from him because I don't know, I just felt like it was it meant more coming from him because he basically lost all his land.
It did. Not only his land, he even talks about his own daughter, Princess Zelda, who went to fight, the Calamity Ganon. So it's like it adds some weight to what we're doing for it to be like the spirit felt the need to appear, of the king himself felt the need to appear to us and fill us in on what's going on and be like, hey, you need to go bail out my daughter who's doing her thing in Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, exactly. By herself, which is crazy, but she'll have some power that we'll kind of learn about later on in the game. Now, one thing that a lot of people have been talking about in Breath of the Wild is the voice acting. I'm a fan of it. I've always wanted it in a Zelda game. So the fact that we got it in this game, I really did appreciate. Now, some people have problem with first of all, the script and what they're actually saying. Some people have a problem with it's a little bit British, maybe, especially Princess Zelda, I believe, is British.
She is, yeah.
Some people have problems with the accent. I'm one of those people, I just appreciate that we got in the game, but I hated how they flipped back and forth between that and then, right after we get voice acting, we had the king and, we're reading text again.
Me too. I wish if they were going to do voice acting, they would have just gone all in and had everything be voice acted, because so many of the side characters and things that we talk to also just have text that we have to read. Yep. And in this day and age, we've had open world games like The Witcher 3, Skyrim, where every single character is voice acted. And I get that adds to the size of the game, and the Switch does have its limitations, so I get it. But still, it's a little jarring going back and forth between voice acting and then reading the text from the same person literally as soon as the scene's over.
We've heard me talk about it. I'm not a big fan of reading. It kind of just takes too long, in my opinion. Now, I could sit there and say, oh, well, I like voice acting and just hearing their voices. But then my wife says I really don't listen. So I don't really know, which way to go in Zelda games. Just tell me where to go and what to get, and make it as short as you can, I guess.
So if you don't read and you don't listen, how are you going to get the story for any of these games?
That's true. That's true. It's a problem I have, I guess.
But I do love this whole story showing how they unearthed these divine beasts and the guardians to use against Ganon, but then Ganon rose up and took them over, and it ended up costing them everything. All of Hyrule fell apart. And just going along with the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, I really like seeing the technology.
Agreed.
And I think we've mentioned that a little bit before with the Sheikah Slate and the Sheikah Towers. But seeing the technology in this game was a great change of pace from prior Zelda games.
What's kind of weird is the whole land is in ruins. So there's not a lot of villages or a lot going on. It's basically just open land. But then at the same time, you have this technology. So it's really kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, to be honest with you. Bam, okay, you have all this awesome technology, but then everything's in ruins. So it kind of gives you, two different sides of the coin, I guess you could say.
It really does. And we're always fans of when you get something contrasting like that.
Agreed.
And I see this technology, and it reminds me, you think back to Skyward Sword when we used, the time shift stones to see, the Lanayru mining facility.
Love that area.
That. Or even the City in the Sky in Twilight Princess. It's just... There's not been that many examples of futuristic technology in Zelda games. So, like I said, I like the idea of having the technology up against the place being in ruins. It was a fun contrast.
I think that technology was built, if I'm correct, 10,000 years ago.
I think that's what they say,
and so it was built a long time ago, and I think this Sheikah vanished around that time, according to this game. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe I'm correct on that. And so it's crazy to see that technology existed that long ago. And it kind of makes you think about the whole Zelda timeline, because in most Zelda games, it's been kind of, I don't know what the correct word is, like poor, like, or not up to today's modern standards. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, if there's a technology that existed very early on in the timeline, even before Skyward Sword. Actually, we know that because of Land Rush Sand Sea.
We do see a little
bit
of it. And so,
like, how long was that technology, 10,000 years ago or whatever? And then why has everything, like, been, like, so less modern in all the other Zelda games that followed?
This makes you feel like something had to have gotten lost somewhere in the entire, like, somewhere in the timeline, like in the Zelda story. The technology got lost. But you bring up the 10,000 years, and I liked kind of the fact that they used, like, they put this game so far into the future compared to those older games that it almost doesn't matter where on the timeline, in which of the branches of the timeline it appears, because it's so far in the future that so much could have happened that it could be in any of those, like, branches of the timeline. I think that was a good way for them to just say, you know what, we don't feel like trying to put it in a specific place. We're just going to say it's so far out in the future that, it doesn't really matter.
And one thing I kind of, like, will say I do not like about this game is that everything is in ruins. I think that actually takes away a lot of the beauty of certain places. Like, the Temple of Time still has a little bit of beauty right here.
A little bit.
But if we saw that thing, like, fully, like, built, like, it would be very, very beautiful. But anyways, this will go ahead and wrap up part 13 of our Let's Play series for Breath of the Wild.